digging out this brugmansia because brugmansias can only go down to about 5 degrees. Now anything below that and you're starting to get damage, and I'm going to try and keep them as high as possible this year. I've cut them off other years and I want to get them really big because they produce all these, see all these flower buds on here, but I want to get that arching out effect, and I think they're simply too small to train. I need to store them bigger in my greenhouse if I can, and room in the greenhouse is really a problem for me because we haven't got a very big house or a very big greenhouse. But this year I'm going to give these a bit of priority because I really like that effect when they're out and they're all hanging down. It looks absolutely superb, and we've not really had that this year, but they've given us some good flowers, but they haven't got that sort of whack of flowers, which is what I'm really after. There's actually two types of brugmansias. They're divided into like a warm group and a cold group, and the warm group, they come from like South America and the Amazon basin and the sort of the Andes foothills, and then the cold group, they come from the higher altitudes of the Andes and from Colombia down to Chile, and it's sort of like a cooler mountain climate. Now the cold group, they can actually go down to about -2 for small periods, and these include like the Brugmansia sanguinii, the volcanicola and the arborea, and some people even try them outside. I didn't want to risk that. Now this one's a warm group one, and the warm group includes Brugmansia aurea, insignis, and suaviolens and versicolor, and the hybrid candida one. Now you could sort of tell them apart by the leaves a little bit, but this is a cold group one and this is a warm group one. The warm group one tends to be sort of softer, hairier leaf, but I put them all of mine away for the winter this year. Now if you're new to growing bananas, you're probably going to start getting into a bit of a panic now because the weather's turning and it's getting colder. But there's really no need to do anything if you're with these musses at the moment, this muscibasseus, because they'll go down to almost freezing before there's really any damage. And this one here, as you can see, he's putting on new rollers even now, so the longer you leave them in the ground, the bigger he's actually going to be, the root is actually going to be, and the actual stem is going to be. What I will eventually do is cut these leaves off and wrap him, but we've got another 2 weeks of temperatures way above freezing. The lowest it's going to go down to here is probably about 3 to 4 degrees, and these will easily stick there. There might be a little bit of damage, but nothing really to worry about. And you're only really worrying about this stem. The stem will be absolutely fine at those sort of temperatures. And remember, if you store him now, well, not store him, but if you put him into wrap him up and you cut the leaves off, he's going to start sweating in here because some of the daytime temperatures are over 10, and he'll get a bit hot, and there's quite a risk of him actually rotting. And that's the one thing you don't want to happen. So the longer you leave him out in the fresh air, the happier he's going to be, and the bigger he's going to be for next year. Now the inset bananas are a little bit different. They won't go as cold as the musses. They can't be left out anyway. They can't bear it below freezing. So once it gets down to sort of 2-3 degrees, they've really got to come in. Now I'm going to leave these out though, because it's only going down to maybe 3-4 degrees. And I've actually had frost forming on these leaves here, just an air frost last year, and they still survived. They're quite happy with it. And I'm so reluctant to bring them in when it's still reasonably mild outside, because we're not going to get an actual frost here. Because obviously these have to be dry stored, and the longer they're dry stored, the bigger risk there is of something, of rot happening to them. Now, if you're going to leave them, we dry store ours in our shed, but if you're going to leave them in a greenhouse, obviously if the temperature during the day is going to be sort of 10-11 degrees, a greenhouse can easily get up to 15 degrees, and you're trying to make them go dormant. That's too high for them to go dormant. So if you do happen to cut them and dry store, and make sure it's between 5 and 10 degrees, But we have difficulty with our shed because while it's still mild, our shed, although it's unheated, but it's attached to the house, and the temperatures will rise up in there. So I'm going to leave him out right to the last minute, and then as soon as they predict there's going to be like a -2, something like that, then I'm going to bring these bananas in. Now this Cyprus papyrus, these are really like at 18 to 20 degrees centigrade, they're happiest with, and anything below 5 can start to give them a little bit of damage. And I think I'm actually going to bring him in now. I don't want to risk him any longer out here. They will go down apparently to about 4 degrees. If you get the odd night of 3 or 4 degrees, they will sustain that, but it doesn't really do them any good. And they're way happier. I think you'd be way happier in my living room. These dahlias have been absolutely wonderful this year, and they've just flowered and flowered and flowered, and they're still flowering now, and we're heading towards November. Now the thing is with dahlias, you can actually leave them in the ground till you get the first frost. You don't have to worry about digging them up before the frost. Just wait till you've had your first frost and the foliage turns black, and then dig them out. That's what we tend to do with them. Some people, even some of my customers, they leave them in the ground, and if it's in a mild area, good soil, and they're covered in the moss, some dahlias will survive. But I don't take the risk, and we're going to dig all of these up. Hopefully this year label them so we know what colours are what, and dry store them for the following year. Now these tithonias, we just treat these as annuals. They need deadheading really now, but these will go on flowering. If I deadhead these will go on flowering sometimes up to December. Incredible plant. We haven't had really big flowers on them this year. We've got a lot of these little tiny ones, but the orange is so bright, it's so luminous in the garden. They really do give a good show. We've got this a bit too far forward, I think. I think we're going to put them further back. Of course, some of the other stuff, the zinnias, these are all just annuals, but they've flowered really well this year. And even though this isn't a particularly sunny position, but they're still flowering now, and it's I suppose it's climate change really. We're getting the winters are going further and further before they start. We're getting further and further through the year. I mean, I always used to think the 5th of November was normally when we'd normally get a frost by then. I bet we go past that this year. I bet we go well into November before we get a hard frost. And something else I've been really pleased with is these butylons this year. They've done really well. Last year we had a few flowers. This year we've had lots of flowers, and they flower quite late, but when they come out they're so spectacular. And of course the salvias, they're not very big flowers, but that little splash of red really sets things off. Obviously we're a bit late now, but you make it last as long as you can, don't you? Now for me this year, these Alstroemerias, they've done really well, and they're a lot more upright than we've had them other years. The other year they sort of flopped over a bit. We had them in a different area of the garden, but they seem to like it here. It's not full sun by any stretch of the imagination. It gets a bit of sun in the afternoon from over there, it's more sort of dappled, and a bit from the morning from over here, but they seem to like it here. And I've not really touched it, to be honest. I've not really deadheaded them or anything. And I've seen some stuff online where guys are saying, oh, you don't cut them, just pull them off at the bottom and to keep them flowering, but I've not touched them at all. And here we are nearly in November, and look at that. I mean, they're still flowering. Absolutely stunning display, absolutely amazing plant. This one of course is Indian summer. We have got another one over there somewhere. I don't know what the name is. It's a pinky one. I don't like it as much, but these they are an excellent plant. Now I've got them in a customer's garden, and she's got great soil, but they're in slightly more shade, and they haven't done very well at all, and they just sort of flopped over and tried to make their way towards the light, I guess. I think it's dappled sun really, rather than full sun. It seemed to be what they like. We had them in full sun the other year, and they weren't so good. But this year, maybe it's a more mature plant. And what are we going to do with it? Are we going to bring it in? The answer is yes. I think some people do leave them out, But with this, I'm not going to take any chances of this. I'm just going to dig it up as it is, cut all these off when they're done. I'm going to put him exactly in the same spot next year. This is the thing, I found the right spot for the right plant for the right spot, which is right plant, right place, as they say. I think this is the key to gardening, really, is you've got to find the exact right conditions for each plant, and then you'll get a lovely looking plant. But the other thing with these, we've not even, this is the thing with them, we've not had to stake them much this year. There's nothing on there. We've got this little ring round here, but he's not really holding these up. And once they get to this size and they've gone that stiff here, they'll stay upright. This is another thing I've been pleased with this year, is my baskets. Just begonias in them, but they've done really well. I love the yellow, and of course it goes really well, I think, with the red. A little bit gaudy maybe, but I like it. Now what I've done with these baskets, there isn't a lot of compost in there, obviously, for a big plant, so we've tried to keep him fed. But what we've done, we've put some of these boost pellets in, which are these things where they retain the moisture, because we've had quite early on, if you remember, we had quite a dry year. It's been very sunny. Obviously I've got a full-time job. By the time you get back in the evening, these ordinarily would have dried out, and those little pellets, it just helps keep the soil from going really dry and gives them something to get some moisture from during the day. Haven't really had to touch them much. We just sort of deadhead them a little bit. They've done really well. I'm really pleased with them. Now, one thing I did do early on, I must admit, with one of the baskets, I forgot to cut a hole, because there's like a little bag in here. The soil doesn't go up against this. There's like a plastic bag in there, and I forgot to cut the hole in the bottom, a drainage hole in the bottom. And I did kill one of these. It just filled up. I couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. I filled it up, kept watering it, and it just got. I thought, oh, I don't know what's wrong with that. It's disease or something. When I took it out to replant it, I realised it was just completely waterlogged. Old age, I guess. Now this is another thing that I'm really pleased with. I want to grow more of. It's passiflora. It's their passion flower, and we've actually had a fruit on it this year, which I didn't pick. I left it on it, and I was going to pick it and try it, and then I completely forgot, and now it's gone. So I assume something's eaten it, so it's done some good. But it's flowered really well, and it's still flowering now. And I don't know if you can see, there's still got these flowers on, which are absolutely magnificent. Now this is the hardy one. This is they're not that hardy, sort of, I don't know, -5 to -10. There is another flower on here somewhere. He's about done now, I think. But we want to experiment with some of the ones that are not so hardy, and maybe grow them on a frame or something and bring them out in the garden during the summer. Because we've got a red one, and I don't think that one's as hardy as this, or can be left out over winter. But there's something about the flowers I've realised. I've become, there he is over there. I don't know if you could see that. I've become a bit obsessed with them. They really are the most tropical looking flower going. And I've discovered, as I've got a bit older, there's certain flowers which I actually didn't like when I was younger, namely fuchsias. And I've started to get into them, to be honest. Now I've got a tropical garden, because they're so exotic looking. If you get them in the right setting, where you've got to be up close to them. I think you've got to have somewhere where you can walk along and they sort of appear near to you. They're not a good flower from a distance. Fuchsias is another one of the things which I'd like to grow more of. And to be honest, I'm not much of an expert on the growing fuchsias, but I will no doubt learn. But I say, these, look at that, it's incredible. Nearly November, and it's still got that flower on. Wow.